What's going on, everybody? I'm Giant Opinion Sports. Thanks for the new intro. Hit Squad made it for me, so go sub that man up. Hit Squad Productions. He makes great Giants content, and every week we go over there and we do a live stream. It's a lot of fun, so go check him out. Today I'm going to talk about 7 players that I think are a little underrated. I'm not saying they'll have a huge impact next year. These are players that I hear fans bashing or being overlooked. I'm going to try and keep the video as short as possible. I want to avoid a 20-minute video if possible, so I'm not going to go in depth too much. But the first guy I think is a bit underrated is Darnay Holmes. He's a kid who was just thrown into the fire as a rookie, and he really held his own. He was a starting slot corner for 12 games his rookie year. He played 55% of his snaps. I bring that up to show that he's lost playing time. This season, he only played 37% of the snaps in 11 games. And when he was on the field, he produced again. He had 8 nose for turnovers. He picked off a pass from Mahomes to seal a win, basically, but someone jumped off sides. Not going to go into that. Listen, is he a top 10 slot cornerback? No. But you don't have to worry about him stepping in, getting torched to the point where we're losing games because of him. He struggled in man coverage some. But I think you could find packages for him to be productive. And this kid is one of the hardest working in the business. That's no secret. Now, the next guy I hear being overlooked all the time is Shane Lemieux. I keep hearing people say he's at best a depth player, and I completely disagree. When Shane Lemieux stepped in 2020, the Giants were immediately able to run the ball. And in my opinion, he was pretty much the biggest reason for the success in the run game in 2020. Now, people will retort with his pass blocking and the injury. First, Lemieux struggled in the pass game, but where he was sneaky good was picking up stunts with Andrew Thomas. Them two were very good there. And we only saw 1 game from Lemieux this past season, but he looked much, much better all around. Obviously, a small sample. All I'm saying is don't sleep on Lemieux. I'm not saying we shouldn't draft over him or anything, but if he's the starter at left guard to start the season, I'm okay with it. The next guy I think is a little bit underrated is Dexter Lawrence. People have been a bit rough on Dex this season. Now, he had a rough start to the season, but he did get back on track as the season progressed. This is a guy who is a 3.9% missed tackle rate his first season. He is really good in the run game. Now, he was sneaky good in the pass rush as well later on this year. Lawrence had almost as many pressures as Leonard Williams last season, who is a perennial top 5 to 10, pressure guy every year of his career. So he gives you a ton of hidden production you just don't see. If the Giants can find a quality nose tackle in the draft or free agency, I see a big jump coming from Dexter Lawrence. Plus, this guy gets held more than anybody in the NFL. It's crazy how many times I saw this dude being held, blatantly held, and didn't get a call. The next guy is Cam Brown. This dude is a remarkable player. He's maybe the biggest gunner in the NFL. I think this guy has a handful of Pro Bowls in his near future. He may be the best player on this team at his position. This is a guy who's had an amazing progression through his career as well. He played middle linebacker at Penn State. The Giants draft him and move him to an edge rusher spot, and he did pretty good his rookie season. He was a big part of the 2020 victory over the Seattle Seahawks. Him and Carter Coughlin were excellent in that game. I think this kid has a bright future, and I love him. Last year, we didn't see him on the defense at all. He's exclusively a special teamer, but he is just a special player on special teams. The next guy I think could be an underrated player is Rodarius Williams. He was drafted to be that cover man cornerback on the outside, and we saw him be very productive in preseason last year. Fortunately, got hurt early in the season and was out for the year, but don't sleep on this guy balling out in the Wink Martindale scheme. He's going to be in the mix, and it would not surprise me to see him on the field a lot next season. So I'm going to try and speed this up a little bit. The next guy is Quincy Roshawn. He may not be underrated, but I could see a nice chunk of production that no one would predict, especially if the Giants draft an edge rusher instead of sign one, a bigger name in free agency. Some of them rookies need time. You just never know. This guy could take a leap. I think he'll do well in the new scheme, and man, he just seems like a guy who makes big plays in big moments. So he's probably more of an honorable mention, I guess. One other guy that's been going under the radar is tight end Caden Smith. We saw Daniel Jones and Caden have a great connection Jones' rookie year. Second half of the 2019 season, Caden Smith really was a security blanket for Jones. Now, Joe Judge and Jason Garrett didn't give him the playing time he deserves the last 2 years, in my opinion. And David will probably bring in an offensive scheme that looks a lot more like Shermer's and Garrett's. So maybe he starts looking like he did back in 2019. We very well could see him getting a bump in his production this season. As long as the Giants don't cut him for cap space, he's a guy I'll have an eye on for sure. A few honorable mentions, just lower practice squad guys that could possibly come up here and there and make a little bit of an impact. I think David Moa was decent last year in limited time. Maybe he builds his body and progresses as a defensive tackle. Edge rusher Trent Harris is a guy who can step in if there's an injury and give you some production. I think he'll have a chance to compete this preseason, and let's see if he can remain on the practice squad to start out the year. Last honorable mention is Matt Parrott. I've heard a lot of Giants fans say they're done with Parrott. I think Parrott was better than Soldier last season. The coaching staff wanted him to play with a mean streak, and that's not the kind of guy he is. So I wouldn't be shocked if Parrott's still on the roster to start next season and sees the field at some point. Listen, I'm not saying he's great. I just think he's more talented than most people give him credit for. Well, that's my list of underrated players or guys being overlooked at the moment. Thank you all for getting me 800 subs. I really appreciate that. I'm blown away by all that. Thank you. Again, shout out to Hit Squad for my intro. That's awesome. I'm going to try and keep, these videos coming. Right now, it's very dead. There is nothing. I'm going through lists of anything I can come up with for Giants content to keep you guys some content because it's dead. There's nothing you can do about it, until we can get up to free agency starts and start actually signing some players, or we can actually see some of these players getting cut. These are the kind of videos you're probably going to see. But again, thank you. Appreciate y'all. Like the video, please. That motivates me to keep going. Subscribe if you're new. Got tons of this stuff, to go. We're going to keep it rolling. Thank you guys. Peace.